We already know because Prince Harry already told us that he was ecstatic that his father had found happiness with the woman he adored, and they always got along well together. Then an evil snake entered the stage, and she turned Harry against his stepmother. I mean, for that matter, she also turned him against his own father and his brother too. She convinced Harry that Princess Catherine was public enemy #1 because she was so jealous of Catherine. She also told Harry that they were only one plane crash away from the throne. Such a sick comment. She made Harry believe that the British public were a bunch of racists. She also pushed Harry into telling his father that the royal family needed racial awareness training, whatever that is. But it looks like she's not finished yet. She's close to completely destroying Harry. And unfortunately, Meghan Markle is more than just an evil actress. Even though she does have some black blood, she never lived her life as a black woman. She never even cared about that heritage until after she met Harry, and she discovered that she could get support from many people in the community no matter how badly she behaved. She brought her American racist tropes to the UK, and she used them to inflict divisive and unfounded claims against Harry's family and the people of the UK too. And of course, we can never know for sure if this is the real Harry or if Meghan Markle has changed him. But what we can know for sure is that Harry is destroying himself with Meghan's help. I mean, why couldn't they just move on and get on with their new lives in the US? Well, because that's never what they really wanted. Meghan has such an overinflated ego, and she has this desperate need for control. So either Meghan is operating on her own feelings of vindictiveness, or she's being supported by some very wealthy entity to wreak havoc on the UK. When is the royal family going to finally understand they cannot negotiate with terrorists like these? Only when they finally cut Harry loose and remove all the titles that connect him to the monarchy in the UK are they going to be able to experience any peace. See, Harry and Meghan do not want peace. It's not just a simple apology they're after. What they're after is not the same as what any normal person would want, because they're not normal. They are arrogant, they are nasty, and they are hell-bent on total destruction. And I'm sure it wasn't easy for either William or Harry when it came to Camilla. I'm sure it took some time to build that relationship. That's not surprising. But everything had pretty much settled down, and Harry went on record before Meghan Markle saying positive things about his stepmother. But it is true, all of this has happened since that nasty, evil woman inflicted herself on the royal family. And as much as I want karma to come Harry's way with all his violence and drug-taking, I've got to admit that I hope it's Meghan who gets the worst of it. Meghan has caused so much pain in two families, and it is all intentional. It's all very carefully calculated, and she played it out like any narcissist would. I am sick and tired of supporting and coddling adults who need to be babysat throughout their entire lives. I mean, grow up. Whatever happened to survival of the fittest, I wonder? I mean, in the US, for example, they just keep on building more housing, and they are spending millions of dollars on building more parks, just so that these aggressive, druggy, homeless people who don't want to work anyway and consider themselves a community with rights can completely take over. It's wrong. It's wrong because they're not building these parks for the rest of the community, not at all. Basically, they're just showing they've got a right to spread garbage all over the place while being supported by the few people who actually work for a living. And I've worked in soup kitchens before. It was quite the eye-opener for me. I'll give you a little hint. It is not like those romantic portrayals that you see in the movies or on those preachy TV programs. The real thing is quite different. And about Harry's stupid book, well, the Sussex Sugars were the ones who bought that book, and they're the ones who made him a worldwide #1 seller. They sure did crash the charts with all their purchases. It was not the people of the UK, and it wasn't everybody in the US either. They may not be fans of the monarchy, but they sure are fans of Harry. I remember I read some woman from Japan saying that Harry was incredibly courageous and brave to write his story. Yeah, whatever. Don't shoot the messenger, it certainly wasn't me who said that. There's propaganda out there claiming that it was record-breaking sales the first week in the US, the UK, and Canada, but that was just a little game the publisher was playing. See, they gave away and they sold by the thousands those books to bookstores, and they were counting all those books as sales. They intentionally loaded up the gifts in bookstores so they could promote it as a record-breaking bestseller. It was all just a game. The window of time is pretty short to shoot it up to that level. They've got to break to the highest level quickly if they want to get a place on the bestsellers list. The publishers discussed that openly and relentlessly, and this had to be done. They still have not made their investment in Harry back, though, and they'll never be able to, because bestseller doesn't actually equal money. Let's remember, The Bench was supposedly also a bestseller, and before the year was finished, the publisher had already stopped printing it. In fact, very little money is made when they play that game. It's all just a psychological move to get people to buy it because people feel curious. Now, over the long run, Japan has been, according to financial news reports, the biggest purchaser, and the Netherlands has been second. But it's not like people in the Netherlands actually support Meghan and Harry. They don't. King Willem-Alexander refused to invite Meghan and Harry into any of his many palaces, and he refused to allow them to stay with him too when they went for the 2022 Invictus Games. So clearly the House of Orange is very well connected to the House of Windsor. And people in Japan are typically pretty strict in their respect for their monarch, whose ancestry they claim is divine. They also have a lot of respect for the British monarchy, so I don't think they would ever accept or even tolerate Meghan and Harry's behavior. Meghan and Harry have done horrible things to the people of Britain, and I don't think the people of Japan would put up with that. I have so much respect for the royal family of the Netherlands for their obvious stand they took against Meghan and Harry, but the people were openly telling the media that they supported them and that they looked forward to hosting them. The government of Japan may love the monarchy, but the people are responsible for buying by far and away the bulk of Harry's books. So the Netherlands came in second, and then Germany came in third place, but nowhere near as many as the first two. Now, the current administration in the US gives Meghan and Harry a pass, but most people in the US who are paying attention cannot stand the two grifters. And if you don't believe me that people in the US don't like Meghan and Harry, well, just look for the thousands of negative comments that you can find on news feeds about the two of them. But still, even the haters watch their interviews if for no other reason than to be even more disgusted by those two. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. See, that still counts as a view and another sale. I do feel sorry for both fathers in this situation, Charles and Thomas. It looks to me like their hands are tied as they're watching their kids destroy themselves, and they're breaking their fathers' hearts because they're so ungrateful. They turned on them and their families in such a public, nasty way. Now, at the end of the day, I'm an American, so I have no business saying if I'm a royalist or not, because it's not my monarchy to support. But I do like to follow royal news, and seeing all this unfold is just heartbreaking. But I do know a thing or two about mental illness, and I understand the pain that it can cause. It is obvious that Prince Harry is mentally very, very sick, and he is just lost in a strange world that's filled with all kinds of perceived dangers that are not there. And his wife may be there with him. It seems like she has very disordered thinking, and she sure doesn't have her husband's back. And of course, I don't know what happened behind closed doors other than what I read in the newspapers after Prince Harry's media wars. But I do know that reporting is really not objective anymore. We also need to think about the fact that the royal family maintains a dignified silence no matter what. We don't really know all the dynamics of this father-son relationship. Now, it does seem like both Charles and Thomas are well supported by their other kids and the rest of their families, but still, that's gonna do nothing to heal the gaping hole that's left by their lost children. It's horrible to know that you have an estranged child. It's called ambiguous grief, actually. Now, a dead child without the closure of a chance to say farewell is essentially what it's like. So just ignoring the mess that Harry has made, I do hope that he gets the help he so desperately needs, and I hope that he can make peace with his family. We cannot understate the importance of family. Family is our anchor in life. It's who we come from. And Harry's just lost now. He's acting out in a socially inappropriate way, and the drugs certainly are not helping him. This is a very sad situation indeed. I do have compassion for both families, and I have a lot of compassion for Meghan and Harry's family too. I just wish that instead of lashing out all the time, they could look at themselves and realize they need to get help. You know, other than that, it looks like Meghan and Harry's family would do best withdrawing from the public eye and just keeping their private lives private. They are bringing censure on themselves with all of their behavior, and that censure has to be difficult to deal with. But at the end of the day, it's not my problem. But anyway, I just hope that both of these families can find peace eventually, and I hope that it happens sooner rather than later.